Ladies and gentlemen, the play is The Thing. With your host, Judy Sleed. Special guests, Dan Loos, Teresa Loos, and Abigail Loos. Now here's Judy.
Thank you, Lee. And today I have a crowd here. I usually have just one guest. Today I have three wonderful people: Dan, Abigail, and Teresa. Now I don't even know where to begin. This is such
and my puppets too.
Such talented family, and everybody has like a title. Dan is like jack of all trades. Abigail is a puppeteer, among other things, and Teresa, she looks over everybody and she makes sure everybody does everything right. Well, I know that you live in East Hampton, and I think maybe we could start with those beautiful art you have in front of you, Dan. I understand this is not something you did, but your dad, your father.
Yeah, my father was an artist for many years until his death in 1986. He produced a large body of work, paintings and drawings and such, so we brought some of those to show.
And what's your father's name?
Michael Loos.
Michael, and is he well known in these, or where is he from?
We're originally from Brooklyn and East New York, and we're moved around a little bit when I was younger. We moved around a bit and came back onto Long Island and became very much part of the local art scene at that point in the early 80s.
Can we see some of the paintings? You could hold up.
Sure.
And tell us about that.
Well, first I'll maybe start with a picture of him. This is what he looked like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And he did several different styles. As he went, as his art progressed, he would seize upon a style, and he would get heavily into that style, and he would do it. And then when he was finished with it, when he found that it was too limited, he would move on to the next thing. So for many years, he did watercolors. And he didn't like how they would have to all end up in a little square frame. So when he felt that he was limited by the little square frame, he would move on. And once he had moved on from a certain type of work, he wouldn't go back to it again. So you find an enormous body of paintings and also watercolors and a few sculptures. And so then he would never return to that style again. And you can see that is reflected in his work. These are some earlier on in his painting career, some of the abstract floral patterns and such that he was doing. As you can see, the very realistic. This was called "Blue-Haired Lady," is what we always called this painting. These are prints of those paintings. Some of them are quite large, several feet. This is actually a sculpture done by my aunt, who does bronze wax sculpture out in Seattle. I'm not sure how that made it into there, but there it is. A full-size sculpture.
And that is?
This would be a charcoal drawing, a pencil drawing rather, of a lion as he was exploring pencil work, and then he didn't like how flat the pencil came out, so he switched to charcoal after that, and then never went back to the pencils. That was just how he did it.
Oh, that is so pretty.
This is his humorous commentary.
Mr. Frog.
The humorous commentary on the preachers of the day.
Oh, really? Yeah.
This was some of his later work, and more of the style that was my favorite. These broad use of colors and strokes. And now again, this painting is probably maybe 4.5 feet wide by 6 or 7 feet tall. It's quite large painting, and these big colors and the sculpted paints, broad brush strokes. It was neo-expressionism was the movement that was happening at that time. He was heavily influenced by Willem de Kooning. This again being a picture of his earlier work before he got into that expressionistic work.
Oh, William de Kooning, he also lived out here.
Yes, this was, I believe, the last painting that he did, actually. Finally, he had progressed into where he was adding quite a bit of marble dust and other things into the paint in order to sculpt them. So the paint on this painting would be, several inches thick. This was a
Really
local man,
interesting.
Val Telberg, a friend of ours from years ago. And he painted him, and I believe they still are in possession of that painting. These you can see was the neo-expressionist influence, like Willem de Kooning and such. And we began to go locally around in the area. Actually, strangely, in the area where their studio is, used to be woods, and we used to go into where they used to dump these old barn boards and stuff, and different type of materials. And he would sculpt the frames of the paintings as well. So he was sculpting, not just using a regular frame or a stretched canvas, but there would also, some of the paintings cover quite extensive sculpture as part of the frame as well. So
Very, very nice. And Teresa was telling me, Teresa's wife, that some of these paintings are really, the originals are really huge.
some are, yes.
Yes. And
One painting in particular was a very close up of my sister's mouth. He loved her smile. So as a daughter's smile can brighten up your day. So he painted this. He stretched it between two trees, a giant canvas. That painting is now currently on display in the Sag Harbor Elementary School on the third
that's
floor.
close by.
We donated that piece. Well, they had the room and we didn't.
Right.
So.
Now I see Abigail is here. So in between talking about the art and everything, I see you have some puppets. Can you introduce just one puppet right now, Abigail?
Yes.
Who is that?
Her name is Mango. She's a nice dolphin, a bottlenose dolphin.
Yeah, and that's.
And who's this?
And this is Josephina and Maria.
So I understand that you not only have names for them, but you also talk to them.
I really love
Do
them.
you
You want to
talk
show us
to
how
them?
they talk?
Yeah, I really talk to them.
Well, can you talk with one of them?
Yeah, and she moved her mouth like this. She'll answer you. Hi, I'm Maria. I can just talk with my mouth. I'm just
Where do you live?
East Hampton, New York.
Yeah, and do you go to school?
No, I don't guess. Maybe I just teached her.
Say, seals don't go to
You
school.
Seals don't go to school.
Seals don't go to school. How come? Well, what do they do?
They play in the water and catch some fish and the other bottlenose dolphins.
Oh, I really feel that this seal wants to talk to me.
Well,
Does she want to talk to me? No?
yeah, of course.
How about Mango?
And who's that?
Her name's Mango. She's a bottlenose dolphin. She's 27.
Years old?
No, she's kind of younger and new.
You said she's 27. 27 what?
27 years.
In dolphin years.
Oh, in dolphin, I thought she was born before you.
Well,
Or you look too young if you are older than that.
Before all of us.
well,
She got this one when the
I
dolphins
love you
came
in
to
the place
visit.
the thing.
When the dolphins came to visit Northwest Harbor in East Hampton.
Oh,
Last year there was
And
about
this
100
is
dolphins that came in.
Josephina. She's cute. Hi, I'm
And-
still 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see. I want to talk to your mom for a little bit. Teresa, you said you took a picture of all this art that Dan's father had. Where is that house?
In Florida.
In
Her
Florida.
house is filled with artwork. Everywhere you look, every wall is artwork or sculpture or poetry all over the walls. So
And you took with your own camera, and you have experience how to take pictures, or you just learn at the time?
I have some experience taking pictures. I went to college in Manhattan for design, but I also took photography courses.
Oh, because you were showing me this, is it called an album, that you took a picture? I mean, this is all yours. You designed this whole album. You went to Florida and you took your camera, you took pictures of all the art, most of the art.
Yeah, most of the artwork. Some of it is locked away. But I took pictures and made a book for her.
And is there any way we could show this? Okay, that's the cover, and can you can you open it? And
No?
yes. And what's that first page?
This
That's my father did a self-portrait of himself in pencil. And you can see he's got a big, cumbersome turtle shell on there. He's looking at himself in the mirror and sort of drawing a persona with the Saturday Night Fever dance going on there. I don't know if you can see that, but again, incorporated a lot of humor into his work.
And look at that page. That's beautiful.
This was a Space Madonna, I believe it's called, and these two paintings were painted around the time where that school teacher went up in the space shuttle, the one that exploded, and it was painted before the launch. And this is one of the return trips where she hugged her child, and this photograph was captured quite beautifully when she came back off the space shuttle before it blew up. And I also like the way you put this book together. You fit all those pictures beautifully.
Many as I could.
And the pages are laid out beautifully.
Thank you.
Okay.
Those abstracts were done by throwing paint across the yard. That was his Jackson Pollock. That was a week of Jackson Pollock where there was paint all over the yard.
And look at that. It's very nice. Beautiful.
Watercolors.
Yes. And that's beautiful.
That's both a sculpture and a painting that would be about 7 feet tall. The figure of a man, a man's head there. This was actually the sign. We had an antique shop for a while up in Maine when we lived up in Maine. And this sign was painted. We were restoring and rebuilding antiques up in Lincolnville Center, Maine, and that was the sign for the store. So that made it into the.
Beautiful. Where are you from, Dan?
Originally, was born in Oakdale, New York, and grew up on Long Island mostly, except for a short time in Maine when I was young.
And where did you two meet?
Church.
We met at church
here in Long Island.
A home fellowship in Farmingville, Long Island. We met at a house church there.
And you live in a very beautiful house, a beautiful location. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Where you live, you are surrounded by water.
Yeah, it's the old Overton's fishing station. It goes back, I believe, to 1949, and it was a small boat station and marina there where the boats were kept in Northwest Harbor, and a very small house. It's beautiful, but it's very small.
Well, I just love that whole surroundings. I mean, when I go there, Teresa and Abigail, they talk to the birds and all that, and they know the names of the birds. Abigail, what's the name of the bird who comes to visit you?
I know. Well, fly.
The seagull.
The seagull.
Who
His
is it?
name is Fido, and his wife named Popeye.
See, I knew that. I mean, you have all these visitors. That's amazing.
Eats a lot of food today.
He does. Does he come to the table to eat?
Yeah. We have Daddy Duck here, but the hawk ate Mama Duck.
Oh.
Yeah, that I love that place. It's so unique and it's so different.
And she was so sad.
Who's sad?
She was.
Me.
She? Your mom?
Well, the ducks come back every year.
Oh,
They come right to the door
yes.
and quack really loudly.
And then you talk to them and you feed them.
We feed them, and they have their nest close to the house, safe from the hawk. But this year, they came back, and Mama Duck was attacked by the hawk and
Oh,
didn't make it.
oh.
So Daddy Duck just swam in circles around in the basin for a couple days, but he's okay now.
It's the pros and cons of nature.
Yeah.
Beautiful, but sometimes cruel.
And when I pick up the phone and when I leave a message, I understand that there's some sort of ministry going around in the house.
Yes, we keep a Bible study there. You know, we always thought that, you know, most people that we run into that don't that feel like they wouldn't like to go to church or don't want to hear about God or anything their aversion is usually based on their experience with organized religion. They have become embittered or had a bad experience and so forth, and we always have just sort of kept a low-profile Bible study there where people can come and are welcome to come and
So
and
do
visit.
you do this like weekly or how does it?
Once a week we meet. You know, it depends on what the schedule. Sometimes people are in attendance there that have schedules that make us have to add services or take them away. But generally, we meet on Sunday morning. It seems to be the most convenient for everybody.
Of course, do you have a large congregation?
Not too large, but we are in contact with very, very many people in many countries. You know, particularly in
Really?
India, we have a lot of friends there, where the
On the
church is
internet?
growing in India. No, we haven't gone to India, but we have many friends that travel from India and from Singapore and places like that where the church is growing. The Christian church is growing, and they come and visit us, and we get to meet a lot of interesting people from a lot of different countries. You know.
Yeah, well, I know that Teresa is very talented on the internet. She does a lot of things. And you say Teresa is spelled with a T, not a TH.
Right.
Why is that? Where are you from? Where does that name come from?
My dad is from Portugal, the Azore Islands.
Oh, does he speak Portuguese? That's a very
Yes.
difficult language, I hear.
Yes, it seemed to me it was a cross between English and French, or Spanish and French, I should say.
Does he live in the United States, though?
He does now, yes.
Oh, how interesting.
But he's originally from San Miguel on the Azore Islands.
Uh-huh. Have you ever been there?
No,
No?
I've only been on this side of the Mississippi as far as the United States.
He grows
Wow.
some great grapes.
Oh, yeah. He grows grapes, they make wine, juice.
Really?
Yeah.
And with you living among all this art and everything, do either of you draw or paint, or do you?
Well, in this house that we live in now, we're short on space, so I haven't done any real drawing or painting in a while. I do more
Because
of
of
the
the
commercial.
space, that space.
It's so small. It's
But yeah,
18
but you
by
still,
20.
if you get inspired, you just start drawing and painting.
But drawing's easy, but painting's not there.
She says she doesn't, but she does a ton of creative things with graphic art on, you know, for CD covers and for DVDs and a lot
I've
of
seen some
website
of that,
construction
yes,
and
yes,
so she's very, very talented lady.
I know that. Yes,
Don't go by what
is.
she says. She actually does an awful lot of.
And you don't do any art as far as painting.
Yep, I do dabble a bit in painting. I went to school because I loved animation, the old-fashioned stop frame animation. So I thought I would go to art school and learn how to do that. But while I was there, I fell in love with oil painting. So not that I don't like the animation, but I just came out of there being an oil painter, so I enjoy doing that.
And you also do something else.
A thing or two.
No, you design things, you build things, or?
You design and build houses and you know, spaces and renovations that are. We try to keep them as much like works of art as we can. You know, spaces that have a certain atmosphere to them and things like that. So.
Teresa was telling me that you designed somebody's house or something. I forgot what it was.
I was showing it at Cooper's.
Just
on
like
magazine.
it was.
Cool.
Yeah. Some nice work has been done with a designer. I've been working with Joe Durso a lot, and he he designed some beautiful interior spaces and does a lot of architecture work. Taught for years, I believe, at Pratt. I might be wrong about that, but he has created some beautiful interior spaces. And so I've had the pleasure working with him for the past few years. Yeah.
Okay, now let's see a little more of this album that Teresa created so beautifully. You placed it so beautifully. And what is this page? Looks like some shadows, somebody standing.
She was capturing the light coming through the Venetian blinds.
Yes, yes,
so she thought it was very interesting, so he caught that. Again, I believe that one is my younger sister. Again, these are some of the nudes, and as you see, he's starting to develop that neo-expressionistic, the brushstrokes and the colors, which he became very well known for. These are some of my favorites.
And I hear that you are going to do an exhibit with all this in the near future?
Yes, we're trying to put together, being able to move some of the pieces. Most of these pieces of artwork are down in Florida. And we're considering, traveling down and bringing them back up and doing a show in the near future. A lot of people have expressed interest in seeing these works again, and so we'd like to do that.
Did I hear you say something about Guildhall, that you have a piece there, or you will have a piece there of this artwork?
In Guildhall?
No?
No, I think he has shown in Guildhall before and was in several shows at the Parish Art Museum, as well as some of the local galleries.
Oh, these are really very
This is
beautiful.
the Montauk Lighthouse. These are some early studies when he first began to pick it up again after many years.
Mm-hmm. Those are portraits.
Yeah, this is called Ningwana Badaki's all beef hot dogs. This was a man that we knew when I was younger, and that's perfectly captured his personality there. He kept a hot dog wagon there at I believe Indian Wells in East Hampton and Amagansett, but he was very scholarly and had traveled. So the name Ningwana Badaki was an African name, and so he found that to be amusing.
Oh, look at all that laughing faces.
These would be the ones that he's best known for. These are the Primal Face series. Again, these are very large paintings of different faces, and the idea was that children see these very sort of abstract faces, when they're young, and how they read and sense color when children are young. And so he began to try and capture that, how children must see these primal scenes and primal faces. Very large paintings.
Well, Abigail adapted most of this talent, because I've seen her being artistic. She builds things, she creates things, and she dances. And what's that?
That's some of her work.
Oh, that's Abigail's work?
She made the book. Yeah, you're in a book.
Here and here. This is a landscape of garden, and this is the
light. Seascape.
With
That's
light,
beautiful. I mean, this whole book is just amazing.
In the back of the book, I put his children's artwork. So there's artwork for, like, Dan did this one, and his brothers and sisters did the others, and these also.
Beautiful.
So it runs pretty deeply in the family.
It does. I mean, this whole thing, she put this together. I mean, this is a work of art.
My mother was a writer and a poet, and so she used to, when we were outside in the yard playing with swords and hitting each other with sticks, she would herd all of us children in. As there was just a troop at our house all the time, between 5 and 15. And she would stop us all and herd us inside and read us poems and read us short stories and then send us back out to play. So she was always very conscious about educating us that. So this is a picture my father painted, a portrait of her there in the lower corner.
This is the cover of one of her books.
She said
this.
What's the name of the book?
Three books were done. The Vase Slid Off the Table was the first one, which was a collection of her poetry. And then Life on a Beanstalk, and other icebox, a collection of icebox poems, that was called. And then the third book, she's going to kill me, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but she published another series of short stories and other works.
Bran muffin.
Half the bran muffin is gone. That was what the name of the book was. And so, you know, she's a very accomplished writer and poet.
And she's in Florida?
She's in Florida. She got her master's degree and went down to Florida and took a job at the local library, and then kind of got into philanthropic work there and began to, you know, do literacy programs and such. And
what part of Florida?
She's on the panhandle of Florida in East Point.
East Point.
Yeah. And she began to, you know, educate the masses and instruct them and teach them. And the library was one small little storefront that was about to close when she took it over, and now it's taken over the whole mini mall, and it's quite the community center. So we're very proud of my mom.
Well, I think you're an amazing family. You're also talented in your own way, each and every one of you. I could have had a whole show with just one. So you will have to come back, and I would ask Abigail to dance, but we're not set up for that, so you become sorry. You know, you have the microphone on, you can't, there's no room, and we're running out of time. So I wanted to, and I love your hair, and your mom did all those braids for you.
Thank you.
She's very talented, and you're very patient to sit
In the
still
morning,
for
I
that.
just took a shower.
Oh, that's nice.
You took a shower?
Yeah.
How come you're not wet?
Well, I'm still dry. She just braided my hair and my ponytails, I guess.
Wow, that's a lot of work. You want to say goodbye with the puppet?
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for coming, and say goodbye with the puppets. Goodbye. And then I want to thank you for coming, and I think we covered a lot of things. And what else can we say?
I'm sure to lose 101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was great.
Love me